I'm Professor Brian Holden-Reid. I sit on the council of this college and therefore have an overview of its activities and have been part of the decision-making process over the last 3 or 4 years, which has led to many developments within the college. I have no prime responsibility for this particular site, but I have been in this college since 1976, and therefore I've come to know it pretty well. And I must say this morning, I quite admire your skill in negotiating your way around the Strand site, because there are parts of it that I never dared venture into, just in case I couldn't find my way out again. So well done on that particular point. Now, this college was founded by King George IV in 1829, with Field Marshal the Duke of Wellington as the first chairman of the council. And the great Duke used to trot over from 10 Downing Street, while Prime Minister, to chair meetings of the council here. Perhaps Prime Ministers in those days were rather less interested in their public image than they are now, and he could find the time to do this, it seems to me, quite easily. The college was specifically set up as a counterweight to the atheism deemed to prevail at University College London in Gower Street. And the college still enjoys a special relationship with the Church of England. The Archbishop of Canterbury is a visitor here and comes to the college regularly. Through its great reputation in theology and latterly religious studies, many bishops and vicars of the Church of England are graduates of this college. The college chapel, which I dare say many of you have seen, or if you have not, I feel you really should go and see it, lies at the heart of college life in many, many different ways, and I have attended myself the weddings of graduates there. Now, the great Duke did much to establish the college on a secure footing, but he left its endowment rather shaky, the financial side of the college, and this had much to do with the passage of the Roman Catholic Emancipation Act of 1829, in which many of the peers who had promised a great deal of money to the college, and indeed even more property. The college should own the whole of the Strand, a chunk of Trafalgar Square, much of the West End of London. All that was withdrawn in protest. So therefore, the achievements of the college have been secured on the basis of a rather weaker financial foundation than was actually originally intended. And that's one of the reasons why we're so proud of them, incidentally, because, of course, it's based on our grit and effort rather than on inherited wealth. I can't resist, as an historian, telling you one further anecdote, that, of course, the Roman Catholic Emancipation Act had one other curious byproduct, a duel fought by the Prime Minister and the Earl of Winchelsea in Battersea Park. Wellington might have been a great soldier, but he was a most terrible shot. But he still challenged the Earl of Winchelsea to a duel for impugning his integrity as a gentleman, and indeed they did him meet with their seconds. The Duke of Wellington, needless to say, shot his pistol. He missed the Earl of Winchelsea by at least 5 yards, and the Earl of Winchelsea, of course, then fired his pistol into the air because he couldn't possibly wound the hero or indeed kill the hero of Waterloo. So it all ended rather anticlimactically. But when one sees how modern prime ministers get themselves in a real lather if they feel that their motives have been attacked, especially by the media, no prime ministers, to my knowledge at any rate, since Wellington have challenged any of their accusers to a duel. Now, when the University of London was established in 1836, King's was one of its 2 founding colleges. It is still our policy, and I'm very supportive of this line of policy, to remain loyal to the University of London, even though its constituent colleges have, like King's, become universities in their own right, and we award our own degrees. In 2013-14, King's was ranked as 20th in the world, and we are now very, very proud indeed of that increase in our overall international reputation, to which I shall return because it has a great bearing, it seems to me, on the broad intellectual life which we might offer students in the future. We have 15,500 undergraduates, 6,500 taught postgraduate students who take MAs, comparable degrees of that kind, and then 2,800 postgraduate research students who take doctorates or masters of philosophy, higher degrees. We claim, I think justly, particularly given the numbers of our research students, that we are a world leader in research, all across the board. And although the medical schools are on another site, other science schools remain on this site. An extremely important part of the college's life are our very large number of international students from some 150 countries who work here, sometimes for an entire year if it's an exchange program, sometimes for a term. But our program of exchanges with foreign universities is continually expanding. Among our own student body, we have at the moment 31,000 alumni organized around the world. I have spoken to these groups myself in Europe and in the United States, and they are very active, very conscientious in supporting the college in its activities and promoting it in their own countries. This is a very cosmopolitan institution. And might I say that is true also of the staff as well as the students in it. Among these groups, foreign groups, of course, from the United States, Germany, France, Greece, Hong Kong, Canada, Singapore, China, Australia, and Malaysia. And in these parts of the world, we have strategic partners among the most distinguished of international universities. We don't have faculties in King's. We did experiment with having faculties, I think, in the 1970s, but we have reverted to the original structure of having schools of study. And on the slide there, you can see the 9 schools of study: law, social science and public policy, which is my own school, arts and humanities, biomedical sciences, nursing and midwifery. Nursing is historically an enormously important area of study here at King's. The Dental Institute, I might come back to that in a moment, the School of Medicine, the Institute of Psychiatry, which despite its modern feel and sound claims to be the oldest part of the college, and natural and mathematical sciences. Given the 9 schools there, you must note the breadth of study available in this college. In the King's Dental Institute, King's has trained 25% of all dentists in this country, including my own, might I say, which gives me even greater faith in his judgment when a rather large, expensive dose of treatment involving all kinds of unmentionables is suggested to me. The fact that he is a King's man and knows this college does give me faith in his judgment. As a member of the council, of course, we are briefed and have visits on all parts of the college, and I was absolutely fascinated by the equipment which is offered in our School of Institute of Dentistry for the training of student dentists, particularly these large plastic heads that open up so that the dentists can practice drilling teeth. I found that quite ghoulishly fascinating. Another development, rather more seriously, another significant development of the college in the last 2 years or so, in which I myself have been involved in, is the evolution of King's Health Partners, where this college will provide the academic element for an amalgamation of 3 health trusts, which will be the largest provider of healthcare training in this country, if not beyond, and including 3 NHS trusts and not just the hospital that bears our name, King's College Hospital. This is an enormous venture for the college, and I trust in the fullness of time we will garner the consequences of being so ambitious for our future. We have been studying on this site, and of course it is this building which is the original core of the college, which was founded in 1829, though it's not the oldest part of the college. but it is this building which is the historic core of the college. We've been studying the arts and humanities here for nearly 200 years, interestingly, actually longer than Oxbridge colleges, despite their longer history, because, of course, they were rooted to a very anachronistic study of and limited study of the classics for so long. And consequently, given our position in London, to which I shall return, we have some of the most prestigious collaborations with most of the important cultural centres in London and therefore in the country. Joint courses with the British Museum, the British Film Institute, the Globe Theatre, of course, which is just across the river here, the National Portrait Gallery, and collaborations with many other distinguished museums such as the Imperial War Museum. In my own school, in the Social Science and Public Policies, the Department of War Studies, which I was once head, celebrated its 50th anniversary last year. This is the largest group of scholars devoted to war studies and international relations in Europe, and one of the largest in the world, with 150 academics in total, over 30 departments. Now you will see there something of the geographical location of the college, in which we are, of course, almost uniquely blessed. We are very significantly advantaged, of course, by this location. And standing from the windows, undergraduates occasionally do this when they go into the student bar, standing looking out at the windows, of course, and looking to the river to the left, and then back down towards the Palace of Westminster, among the most famous views in the world. What you see there, of course, is not just good from the social life point of view for students of this college, but of course we can develop all kinds of partnerships advantageous to the college. The Barbican, the British Library and the British Museum I've already mentioned, the Tate Gallery, the National Theatre, the Royal Festival Hall, which is just a short walk from here across Waterloo Bridge. We have established, as I mentioned earlier, very close links with teaching hospitals, the Maudsley Hospital, King's College Hospital, obviously, Guy's and St Thomas's, and a new venture, the Francis Crick Institute, currently being built virtually next door to St Pancras Station, which is a joint collaboration with other colleges of the University of London. This gives massive impetus to our claim to be one of the premier health universities in this country. We are the neighbours of the centre of power in Whitehall and the government departments which are close to us. Obviously, staff from a whole range of departments in this college give specialist evidence to House of Commons committees or are consulted by government ministers on points of detail, particularly in the area of health, might I add. Many of our graduates, of course, work in government. In the School of Social Science and Public Policy, we have very close links with the Foreign Office and the Ministry of Defence. And of course, the whole raft of government is quite easy for us to bring in most famous, distinguished speakers who, of course, readily give up their time when they're only a 5-minute drive, if that, from their office, rather than having to travel a long way beyond London. I recall an occasion about 10 years ago when the first Sea Lord, the head of the Navy, evinced a desire to see, meet, and speak to the students. And he came here especially to speak to undergraduates, not to the great and good of the college. And it does seem to me that having that kind of willingness to come and speak to the students adds immeasurably to the breadth and depth of the student experience. We have here the 5 campuses of the college, which the college has spread over the last 30 years or more from this original site. The Waterloo campus, just a short walk from here, where management, education, subjects of that kind are taught, and the 2 hospital campuses, and of course the Denmark Hill campus, which comprises not just King's College Hospital, but also the Institute of Psychiatry. The Institute of Psychiatry is without doubt a world leader in this subject. So I would suggest to you that the college has managed to establish a network of excellence, institutional excellence, which feeds back into the fabric of the college, which is linked with our growing international network of elite institutions. We therefore exert a measure of influence beyond these walls. The Waterloo campus, as you can see here, adjacent to the IMAX, almost opposite Waterloo Station, and close to the Royal Festival Hall. A great deal of time and effort has been invested in improving the structure of the Waterloo campus, and you can see there in the bottom right-hand corner the architecture currently prevailing over there, which is certainly very clear and clean and bright, and I suspect keeps undergraduates alert in the lecture theatres. Well, one at least hopes so. Thank you. Next one. The Strand campus, of the one that you're on. I won't be bothered doing the tourist guide here of the Trafalgar Square, West End and Covent Garden, but of the two major developments in recent years are first the Morn Library, which is now some 10 years old, on this original site for reasons which are too complicated to explain. The original King's College London Library was never built, and the library was scattered through this building. And thanks to a massive donation by two of our alumni, a married couple, the Morn Library, which is the old public record office, has been completely rebuilt for modern library needs. And perhaps some of you have already been in there, but we are very, very proud of it, particularly by comparison with what the library used to be like. And it's an extremely pleasant place to be and to work. The other most significant development, which I have to say as a long-standing member of this college, I was beginning to think I would never live to see, let alone have it completed in my working lifetime. It has always been the ambition of the college to eventually move into parts of Somerset House, which has had various uses since the old records of births and deaths were removed about 40 years ago. And I think its last tenant was the Inland Revenue. Well, at long last, after protracted negotiations, we have acquired the east wing of Somerset House, and we hope ultimately over time to colonise first the middle of it, and then the west wing, so that we'll actually take over the whole of this building. But it is a marvellous building, though never designed, of course, to be a teaching building, but it's nonetheless a marvellous building to work and teach in. And I was present as a member of the council when the Queen and His Royal Highness the Duke of Edinburgh came to open it last year. And I must say what impressed me more than anything else about their visit, other than the Duke of Edinburgh's extraordinary good humour, was, in which he teased me endlessly as to how on earth I'd managed to work myself onto the council, and I didn't have a very good answer to give him, but nonetheless we'll hasten on from that point, was their stamina. The Duke was then 91, the Queen, 87 years old, and the Queen stood the whole time, up and down the stairs, in and out of the rooms. I was enormously impressed by their extraordinary stamina. But we are, of course, absolutely delighted that the Strand campus has been significantly enlarged by Somerset House. Guy's campus, which, of course, is adjacent to the hospital, close to Tower Bridge and Borough Market. I'm delighted to see that the office has had the good sense of students there drinking coffee in the slides there above. But that gives an indication, if you look at the one bottom centre slide there, that there are parts of the college, and this building dates from the third decade, I think, of the 18th century. There are parts of the college which are significantly older than this site, which we acquired in 1829. Thank you. Well, here we are, King's at the heart of London, at the heart of intellectual life here in London. Let me now move on to consider what on earth do people get out of all of this, other than a lot of sightseeing. Well, the first is, of course, that the students are enormously important to the way this college works. They are at the very heart of its life and activities. And there's one thing about King's which I think we're rather pleased about, rather proud of, is that it is a very friendly college with a human face. Therefore, the personal tutor system, whereby undergraduates and indeed on some postgraduate students are allotted personal tutors to look after them, as it were, during their time in the college is immensely important to us. It's not that every academic here is trained in social work, very far from it. But nonetheless, if a student has a problem, then they can locate somebody who is an expert and can help them. And I make a great point of emphasizing, especially to our foreign students, that a problem shared early on is infinitely easier to solve than one that is put off and then put off and gets worse. So the personal tutor system is very important to us. The compass is a study area and more, a study area than more, which we have created very close to the student union. One point I want to emphasize to you as a member of the council is that the council works in very close cooperation with the student union and its senior officers, so that they do have an authoritative voice at the very highest level in this college. The library facilities are, in my judgment now, second to none, and this college has been in the vanguard of developing teaching online. The very first master's degree, and other degrees of course have followed, which are offered online, is now something like nearly 10 years old. So what, in other words, do you get from all of this? It does seem to me that King's students, and I do meet many of them in their professional lives later on in their careers, that our students are equipped with the very best intellectual tools for a successful career. In 2012-13, the Sunday Times deemed us the best university for graduate employment. A lot of effort is put into finding our students' careers, transcending simply the efforts of the Careers Office. We do have excellent links with employers and have careers fairs regularly throughout the academic year. And I myself was a pioneer of establishing internships for our students, not just in this country, but around the world. So the careers aspect of people's expectations is addressed in a very thorough manner. Our students are, it is claimed statistically, are the 5th ranking for starting salaries. I must confess that when I've met former students of mine, whether they be working in television or the media or the law, I'm always jealous of the salaries that they're currently earning, but there we are. That's one of the reasons why this slide is green, by the way, ladies and gentlemen. So in short, King's is a very friendly college, and also we have a modern language centre to improve the linguistic capacities of British students, or indeed other students from other parts of the world whose English might not be necessarily as good as they would like it to be. So, moving towards a close, King's is a friendly college. I think any students who come here will make friends, perhaps for their entire lifetime, and will thoroughly enjoy and get a great deal out of being here. Beyond King's, I don't know what that is, as I've never left this college since 1976, but beyond King's, you'll be very well equipped to deal with it. One more slide, I think. And of course, one of the biggest successes for the college in recent years, and I can remember it being mooted, are the large photographs of our distinguished alumni on the Strand site, on the street, rather, the Strand Street. And of course, Archbishop Tutu, the students' disco was named after the Archbishop. He was absolutely delighted by this, incidentally. Obviously, his permission was granted before they were allowed to do it. Is perhaps one of our most famous of our alumni. Graduate in Style. I myself preside over, are heavily involved in the graduation ceremonies, and once we were awarded degree awarding powers, Dame Vivian Westwood, who was in the news just the other day, giving advice on what to buy and what not to buy if you're a bit hard up, which I must confess I took great note of. Dame Vivian Westwood agreed to restyle our gowns for the 21st century, and I must say she's done a very good job indeed. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for your entertainment, your attention. Thank you.